Late-night television erupted in flames yesterday when tech billionaire Elon Musk stormed off Jimmy Kimmel Live following a barrage of increasingly personal attacks from the host. What began as playful banter quickly spiraled into one of the most shocking confrontations in talk show history, leaving viewers worldwide stunned. The air in Studio 1A was electric with anticipation. The audience had been buzzing for days about tonight's guest. Elon Musk, the controversial tech magnate whose name had become synonymous with innovation and unpredictability, was making his first appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live since their last awkward encounter 3 years ago. Behind the scenes, producers had been walking on eggshells. Kimmel had made no secret of his disdain for certain aspects of Musk's public persona in recent monologues, and network executives had explicitly warned him to keep things light. But something in Kimmel's demeanor tonight suggested he had other plans. "We're back with our guest, Elon Musk," Kimmel said after the commercial break, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "Now, Elon, you've been busy lately. Twitter, Tesla, SpaceX, your new brain chip company. It's almost like you're collecting companies the way some people collect Pokemon cards." The audience laughed nervously. Musk offered a tight smile, adjusting himself in the guest chair. "I suppose that's one way to look at it, Jimmy. But unlike Pokemon, these ventures are solving real-world problems." Right, Kimmel nodded, glancing at his note cards. "Like Twitter. You bought it to solve the problem of not owning Twitter?" The audience's laughter grew louder. Musk's smile remained fixed, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "Actually, I believe the platform needed significant reforms to protect free speech while reducing bot activity," Musk replied evenly. "The transition has been challenging, but usage metrics are actually up 28% since—" "Speaking of things that are up," Kimmel interrupted, "I saw that Tesla stock took quite a nosedive last quarter. Down what, 40% since your Twitter takeover? That's got to sting a little." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. The audience's laughter died in their throats. This wasn't the usual good-natured ribbing Kimmel was known for. There was an edge to his voice, a deliberate provocation. Musk's jaw tightened visibly. "Market fluctuations happen, Jimmy. Tesla remains the most valuable automotive company in the world despite building cars that occasionally catch fire or drive themselves into emergency vehicles," Kimmel interjected with mock innocence. "That's commitment to innovation." Several audience members gasped. Musk's face flushed slightly, but he maintained his composure, clasping his hands together in his lap. "Safety statistics actually show Tesla vehicles are significantly safer than—" "Let's talk about your boring company," Kimmel said, steamrolling over Musk's explanation. "You promised revolutionary underground transportation networks, and after years of development and millions in funding, you've delivered a tunnel, a single-lane tunnel with Teslas driving through it. Not exactly the Hyperloop we were promised, is it?" The studio had gone completely silent now. Camera operators exchanged uncomfortable glances. The floor director made a subtle cutting motion across her throat, but Kimmel ignored it. Musk's eyes darkened. "The Las Vegas Convention Center loop is merely the first implementation. We're in discussions with several major cities about—" "And how's that Mars colony coming along?" Kimmel asked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "I was hoping to book my ticket for 2026, but it seems like that timeline keeps slipping further and further away. Maybe we should call it the Eventually Project instead of SpaceX?" Something dangerous flashed across Musk's face. A glimpse of the legendary temper that employees had whispered about, but the public rarely saw. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair. "Space exploration is difficult, Jimmy. If it were easy, we'd already be there. Every major NASA initiative has faced similar delays, but unlike NASA, we've dramatically reduced launch costs and revolutionized rocket reusability." "Right, revolutionized," Kimmel nodded mockingly. "Like your Neuralink brain chips that were supposed to cure paralysis, but have mostly succeeded in, what was it again? Oh, right, killing lab monkeys. The audience collectively sucked in their breath. This had gone beyond awkward television into something else entirely. A public flaying disguised as an interview. Musk sat perfectly still for a moment, his expression unreadable. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but trembling with barely contained fury. I've devoted my life to advancing sustainable energy, space exploration, and neural technology to help people with debilitating conditions. My companies employ over 110,000 people worldwide. What exactly have you accomplished, Jimmy, besides reading jokes written by others and fawning over celebrities? A dangerous silence fell over the studio. The floor director was now frantically signaling for a commercial break, but Kimmel seemed determined to push further. Well, I haven't lost $200 billion in a single year, for starters, Kimmel fired back, abandoning any pretense of playful banter. And I haven't promised self-driving cars next year for the past decade. And I don't throw tantrums on social media that crash the stock market. And I don't— Is there a point to this? Musk interrupted, his voice dangerously low. Did I come here to be interviewed or insulted? I'm just asking the questions our viewers want answered, Kimmel replied with exaggerated innocence. Like why your Cybertruck windows broke during that infamous demonstration, or why you named your child after a Wi-Fi password, or why you think it's appropriate to spread conspiracy theories to millions of followers. The tension in the studio was unbearable now. Producers were frantically consulting off-camera. The audience sat frozen, witnessing what felt increasingly like a car crash in slow motion. Musk's face had gone completely pale, his legendary composure crumbling before millions of viewers. His right hand twitched slightly near his lapel mic. You know what, Jimmy? He said quietly. I think we're done here. For a fraction of a second, uncertainty flickered across Kimmel's face. The floor manager was frantically signaling for a commercial break, but the host leaned forward instead, doubling down. Oh, come on, Elon. I thought the world's richest man would have thicker skin, Kimmel said with an exaggerated pout. After all, you dish it out plenty on Twitter, or whatever you're calling it these days. X? Really? Like a rejected Bond villain? The audience's nervous tittering had transformed into uncomfortable silence. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was a public execution. Musk's hand moved to his microphone, fingers closing around it deliberately. You invited me here under false pretenses. This isn't an interview. It's an ambush. An ambush? Kimmel repeated, mock incredulous. I'm just asking about your very public failures. Is that off limits? I thought you were all about free speech these days? A muscle twitched in Musk's jaw. There's a difference between free speech and whatever this is. Your producers assured me this would be a substantive discussion about AI safety and Mars colonization. Plans. We'll get to Mars, Kimmel replied, waving dismissively. Right after we discuss your Hyperloop. Remember that? The revolutionary transport system you announced with great fanfare? The one that's now, what's the technical term? Completely abandoned? Several audience members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. A woman in the front row audibly whispered, "This is painful to watch." My companies are pushing the boundaries of what's possible, Musk said, his voice dangerously quiet. Not every initiative succeeds, but we learn from each one. That's how innovation works, Jimmy. Something you might understand if you did anything more challenging than reading cue cards. Kimmel's eyes narrowed. He glanced off stage where his executive producer was making frantic throat-cutting gestures, but something had been unleashed in him tonight, a simmering resentment that had finally found its target. Innovation? Is that what we're calling it now? Kimmel leaned forward, abandoning his notes entirely. Let's talk about your innovations. Tesla's full self-driving that still can't fully self-drive after years of promises. Solar roof tiles that barely made it to market. The Vegas loop that's just cars in a tunnel. Your Optimus robot that can barely walk without falling over. Should I continue? The studio lights seemed to grow hotter. Musk's breathing had become visibly controlled, each inhale measured as though counting to 10. "You know, I expected better from you," Musk said finally. "I've been on plenty of shows where hosts disagree with me politically or question my business decisions. That's fair game. But this? This is just personal animus disguised as entertainment." "Oh, I'm sorry," Kimmel replied, clutching his chest in mock sincerity. "Did I hurt the feelings of the man who called a rescue diver a pedo guy? Who publicly mocked people's pronouns? Who spread conspiracy theories during a pandemic? Your lack of self-awareness is truly astounding, even for a billionaire." Something dangerous flashed in Musk's eyes. He reached up and deliberately unpinned his microphone. "I came here to discuss space exploration and AI safety. Instead, you've spent 10 minutes reciting Twitter hit pieces. Your audience deserves better than this lazy hackwork." Kimmel's producer was now physically entering the edge of the frame, desperately trying to move to a commercial, but the host waved him off. "My audience deserves the truth about your promises versus your delivery," Kimmel shot back. "Like your Starship rocket. How many have you exploded now? 5? 6? At what point does it become performance art rather than aerospace engineering?" Musk stood abruptly, dropping his microphone onto the chair with a deliberate thud that resonated through the studio's sound system. "This interview is over." Kimmel rose too, playing to the audience. "What's wrong, Elon? Can't handle a little criticism? For someone who talks about saving humanity, you seem remarkably thin-skinned when someone points out that your emperor's new clothes are getting a bit transparent." The studio had fallen into shocked silence. Even Kimmel's band had stopped their usual background noodling, watching the train wreck unfold in real time. Musk took a step toward Kimmel, his voice low but perfectly audible in the silent studio. "You think this is about criticism? I face criticism daily from people far more qualified than you. This is about basic professional courtesy, which you've completely abandoned for what? Ratings? Twitter engagement? Congratulations, you'll get both. At least something will actually deliver as promised," Kimmel retorted. "Unlike your Cybertruck's armor glass. That shattered almost as impressively as Tesla stock after your Twitter takeover. Down what? 60% now? That's got to be awkward at shareholder meetings." The line had been crossed so many times it was no longer visible. Musk's face had turned a dangerous shade of crimson. "You know what the difference is between us, Jimmy?" Musk said, his voice eerily calm. "I'll still be changing the world tomorrow, while you'll just be telling the same tired jokes to an increasingly disinterested audience. Enjoy your irrelevance." He turned to walk off the stage, but Kimmel wasn't finished. "Speaking of irrelevance, how's that brain chip coming along? The one that was supposed to revolutionize neuroscience but has mainly succeeded in killing test animals? Maybe focus on making cars that don't burst into flames before trying to wire computers into people's brains?" Musk froze mid-step. The studio temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. When he turned back, his expression had transformed into something the audience had never seen before. Raw, unfiltered fury breaking through the carefully maintained veneer of tech optimism. "You know nothing about Neuralink," Musk said, each word precise and cold as ice. "Nothing about the thousands of hours of ethical review, the revolutionary surgical robotics, or the potential to help millions with paralysis, blindness, and severe brain injuries. But sure, reduce it to a punchline for your mediocre show." He strode back toward Kimmel with deliberate steps. The host's smug expression faltered slightly as Musk approached, stopping just feet away. "For years, I've watched comedians like you mock the very work that might save humanity from extinction," Musk continued, his voice steady but vibrating with intensity. "Do you have any idea what's at stake with advanced AI development? With establishing a self-sustaining colony beyond Earth? Or are you too busy writing jokes about celebrity Instagram posts to consider humanity's future?" The studio was cemetery quiet. Even the cameramen had forgotten to breathe. Kimmel shifted uncomfortably, his attack dog confidence wavering under Musk's unflinching gaze. "Look, Elon, this is just entertainment," Kimmel attempted, forcing a laugh that died instantly in the frigid atmosphere. "People tune in for a few laughs." "That's your problem," Musk cut him off. "You think everything is a joke. You've spent 10 minutes mocking rockets that explode during testing. Do you know why they explode? Because we're pushing boundaries no one has ever pushed before. SpaceX has revolutionized space access while you've been making the same tired Trump jokes for 8 years. A few audience members actually applauded, quickly silencing themselves when Kimmel shot them a withering look. Those failed projects. You mock? They've advanced material science, battery technology, and aerospace engineering even when the specific implementation didn't succeed. That's how innovation works. You try, you fail, you learn, you improve. What exactly have you risked in your career, Jimmy? What boundaries have you pushed? Kimmel's face had reddened now, his own anger rising to meet Musk's. I don't have to justify my career to you. I've built this show from nothing. From nothing? With network backing, a full writing staff, and a guaranteed time slot? Musk scoffed. Try building rockets while the entire aerospace industry is betting against you. Try making electric vehicles viable when everyone says it's impossible. Try advancing brain-computer interfaces while navigating the most complex regulatory environment. In medicine, the power dynamic had completely reversed. Kimmel, usually so comfortable in his role as the smirking ringmaster, looked like a schoolboy caught in a lie. The audience could sense it too. The electricity in the room had changed. Polarity. You know what amazes me? Musk continued, his voice dropping lower. You've had years to prepare insightful questions about some of the most complex engineering challenges in human history. Mars colonization, sustainable energy, AI alignment, and the best you could come up with was, your stock went down, and rockets exploded. That's not just disappointing, Jimmy. It's lazy. The word hung in the air like a dagger. In the entertainment world, few insults cut deeper than questioning a performer's work ethic. We're going to commercial, Kimmel said abruptly, signaling desperately to his producer. No, we're not, Musk replied with unexpected calm. Your audience deserves better than watching you hide behind a commercial break. They deserve substance. They deserve actual information about technologies that will shape their future, not cheap shots about stock fluctuations. To everyone's shock, Musk turned away from Kimmel and addressed the audience directly. The real failure here isn't any of my companies. It's that platforms like this have abandoned substance for snark. It's that complex subjects get reduced to punchlines. It's that someone like Jimmy, with the platform to educate millions, chooses mockery over understanding. Several audience members began to applaud again, this time not stopping when Kimmel glared. The host looked off stage, clearly seeking rescue from producers, but none came. Since I have the floor, Musk continued, let me tell you what Neuralink actually does. Our first application will help quadriplegics interface directly with computers, potentially restoring their ability to communicate and interact with the world. Our animal testing follows the strictest ethical protocols, with each step advancing our understanding of the brain's complexity. That deserves curiosity, not derision. The audience was rapt now, the atmosphere transforming from uncomfortable tension to something unexpected. Genuine interest. Kimmel stood awkwardly to the side of his own stage, effectively relegated to spectator status. Tesla's stock fluctuates, yes. Show me a revolutionary company whose doesn't. But we've delivered over 2 million electric vehicles, built the world's largest battery factory, and developed AI that will eventually make driving safer for everyone. SpaceX rockets explode during testing because we're stress testing the limits of physics, not because we're incompetent. Musk paused, looking directly into the main camera. I came here tonight hoping for conversation. What I got was a reminder of why I generally avoid shows like this. But perhaps something useful can come from it after all. Perhaps people watching can recognize that complex problems deserve more than superficial mockery. He turned back to Kimmel, whose face had transitioned from anger to a strange mixture of embarrassment and calculation. "We're done here, Jimmy. Not because I can't take criticism. I face it daily from people who actually understand the technologies they're critiquing. We're done because you've demonstrated you have nothing of substance to offer." With that, Musk removed his earpiece, placed it deliberately on Kimmel's desk, and walked off the stage with measured steps. The studio remained in stunned silence for several seconds before erupting in a mixture of applause, gasps, and confused murmuring. Kimmel, visibly shaken, but attempting to regain control, forced a tight smile. "Well, folks, I guess billionaires really don't like being asked tough questions. We'll be right back after these messages." But the damage was done. As the show cut to commercial, the studio audience continued buzzing, many standing to leave early. Offstage, producers huddled in emergency consultation, phones already lighting up with calls from network executives. By morning, clips of the confrontation had exploded across every social media platform. Kimmel vs. Musk was trending worldwide, with opinion sharply divided but the overwhelming consensus clear. Late-night television had just experienced one of its most authentic and uncomfortable moments in decades. And in a private jet soaring above the California coastline, Elon Musk sat quietly, watching the online reaction unfold on his phone. He closed Twitter with a slight smile, turned off his device, and gazed out the window at the stars above, the same stars that had guided his ambition since childhood, undimmed by any earthbound controversy.